The Galactic Council Hall was silent. Not the normal kind of silence filled with whispers and floating lights, but a heavy silence. The kind that made even the oldest species feel small. Hundreds of alien delegates sat in their places, scales tight, wings folded, eyes unblinking. No one spoke. No one moved too much. At the center of the hall stood a single speaker. He was small, very small compared to the others. His species was known for survival, not strength. Soft skin, thin arms, weak bodies. They were traders, writers, and record keepers.
Out there that day?
They never led wars. They never won battles. But they remembered everything. He looked around slowly before speaking. "We are here," he said in a calm voice, "to remind the galaxy of a rule." Many eyes shifted. Some species already knew the rule, others only pretended not to. "There is only one rule," the speaker continued. "Never anger humans." The word humans echoed softly through the hall. Some delegates lowered their heads. Others clicked their mandibles in discomfort. A few younger species looked confused. Humans did not look dangerous in the records. 2 arms, 2 legs, no claws, no thick armor, no natural weapons. The speaker noticed the confusion. "We once thought the same," he said. "We thought they were weak." The lights dimmed slightly as the central display activated. Old images appeared in the air. Star charts, early trade routes, first contact records. This, the speaker said, pointing to the display, was the day humans arrived in the galaxy. The image showed a simple ship. It's not large, not beautiful, no glowing weapons, no fear symbols, just a clean, practical design. Humans had arrived quietly. They asked permission to trade. They followed laws. They waited their turn to speak in councils. At first, no one cared. They were polite, the speaker said. They listened more than they spoke. They smiled often. They thanked even the smallest species. Some delegates shifted uncomfortably. One empire laughed at them, the speaker continued. Another ignored them. A third decided to test them. The image changed. A powerful alien fleet blocked a human trade route. Not an attack, just pressure. A message was sent to the humans. It was short and proud. "Leave this space." The hall remained silent. And the humans replied, the speaker said with a single message. The display showed simple words. "We request peaceful passage." Some of the younger delegates relaxed. That did not sound dangerous. But here, the speaker said quietly, is where the galaxy made its first mistake. The humans did not shout, did not threaten. They did not move their fleets. They did not call for war. They waited. Days passed, then weeks. Nothing happened. The Empire laughed. Other species joined them. Humans became a joke. A soft species from a low-gravity world, trying to survive among giants. Then small things began to fail. Trade systems slowed. Communication relays went dark for minutes at a time. Navigation data became inaccurate. Nothing dramatic. Nothing that could be blamed directly on humans. At first, but humans, the speaker said, are patient. The display shifted again. Charts showed falling trade numbers. Resource shortages, political unrest, allies quietly leaving the empire. No battles, the speaker said. No explosions, no weapons. The empire collapsed within a standard cycle. The hall was completely silent now. The humans never claimed responsibility, the speaker continued. They never celebrated. They simply adjusted their routes and moved on. A murmur spread through the crowd. Fear, not noise. That was when we began writing, the speaker said. We recorded everything, every interaction, every pattern. He paused and looked directly at the delegates. Humans do not seek dominance, he said. They seek fairness. But when fairness is denied, they do not forgive easily. The display faded, leaving only the speaker in the dim light. We learned something important, he said softly. Humans do not attack first. They do not need to. Some species now understood. Others were starting to. That is why, the speaker concluded, there is a rule passed from mentor to child, from leader to citizen, from system to system. He took a slow breath. Never angered humans. The lights brightened again, but the feeling did not leave the room, because this was only the beginning. And the galaxy had not yet learned what happens when the rule is broken again. The records showed that after the first incident, The galaxy did not change immediately. Most species believed the collapse of the empire was coincidence. Systems failed all the time. Alliances broke often. It was easier to believe chance than accept fear. Humans returned to trade. They did not act proud. They did not speak of what had happened. They paid fair prices. They followed rules even more carefully than before. To many, they seemed harmless again. That was when curiosity replaced caution. A mid-level species, larger than humans but far from powerful, decided to observe them closely. They invited humans to shared stations, joint markets, and neutral research zones. Humans accepted every invitation. They are slow, some aliens said. They hesitate, others said. They always ask permission. Humans smiled. Humans waited. Humans listened. The observers noticed strange habits. Humans studied everything. They asked small questions that seemed unimportant. How trade routes worked. How data flowed. Who controlled repairs. Which species relied on which systems. They're just learning, the observers believed. They did not realize humans never learned without purpose. Years passed. Humans spread quietly. Not with fleets, but with connections. They became traders, technicians, analysts, and advisors. They fixed problems others ignored. They improved systems without demanding credit, and many stations depended on human-made solutions. Still, no one felt afraid. Then came the second mistake. A wealthy coalition decided humans had become too comfortable, too present, too involved. They announced new rules. Human access to certain systems would be reduced. Human trade would be limited for balance. The announcement was public. Clear, cold. Humans requested a meeting. They were denied. No threats followed. No warnings. Humans simply adjusted. They rerouted ships. They stopped offering free system repairs. They withdrew support teams quietly. At first nothing seemed wrong. Then delays began. Ships waited longer for docking clearance. Automated systems required more manual input. Data mismatches increased. Small errors multiplied across networks. The coalition blamed software age. Maintenance crews worked non-stop. Costs rose. Profits fell. Still, no one blamed humans. They are still trading, leaders said. They are still polite. What they did not notice was what humans were no longer doing. They no longer solved problems before they appeared. Human advisors resigned politely. Human technicians accepted transfers. Human traders chose different partners. Everything was legal. Everything followed rules. The coalition weakened slowly. Other species noticed first. Trade partners began avoiding coalition space. Insurance rates increased. Supply chains broke. Political trust collapsed under pressure. Within 2 cycles, the coalition dissolved itself. Again, no battle, no announcement. No human flag raised over foreign worlds. Humans simply continued living. That was when fear truly began. Smaller species compared records. Patterns emerged. Humans never attacked. Humans never rushed. Humans never forgave public humiliation or unfair control. They responded by changing the environment. You cannot fight what you cannot see, one analyst wrote. You cannot defend against silence, another added. The smallest species began teaching their children differently. They taught them human history, human patience, human memory. A guide was written, not officially, not publicly, a survival guide. Rule 1 was simple. Never anger humans. There was no Rule 2, because no species that ignored Rule 1 ever had time to write another. But the galaxy still tested its luck. A newly discovered species entered galactic space. Young, energetic, confident. They had powerful ships and fast growth. They saw humans as equal, maybe less. They did not read old records. They laughed at warnings. Fear is a tool of the weak, their leaders said. They confronted humans directly during a council vote. They accused them of manipulation. They demanded answers. Humans listened. Humans asked for proof. Young species had none. They mocked human calm. They mocked human silence. And once again, humans did nothing. It scared the smallest species more than anything else. Because silence, they had learned, was never empty. It was preparation. As the council session ended, the small species representative closed the archive and looked at the audience. This, he said quietly, is where the galaxy stands today. Some delegates leaned forward. Others avoided eye contact. The humans have arrived everywhere, he continued. Not as conquerors, not as rulers. He paused. But as the quiet force that decides which systems survive, the room felt smaller. Outside the council hall, human ships moved calmly through space. And somewhere far away, a young species was about to learn why Rule 1 existed. By the time the young species took their seats in the Galactic Council, they believed the old stories were exaggerated. They called themselves strong, fast learners, natural leaders. Their ships were sharp and modern. Their worlds were rich with resources. They had won small conflicts quickly and believed victory meant truth. Humans sat quietly during the sessions. They always did. When debates began, humans waited until others finished speaking. They never interrupted. They never raised their voices. To the young species, this looked like weakness. During one crowded session, the young species leader finally spoke directly. "Humans," he said loudly, "you hide behind systems and silence. The galaxy deserves to know what you really do." The hall froze. Older species felt the shift immediately. The air felt heavy. Records later showed heart rates rising across multiple delegations. The human representative stood slowly. He did not look angry. "We have broken no law," he said calmly. "If you have evidence, present it." The young leader laughed. "Evidence," he replied. "Your presence is the evidence. Wherever you go, others fall. You weaken them." The human nodded once. "We disagree," he said, "but we respect your opinion." That was all. No threats followed. No warnings were issued. The council moved on. Many believed that would be the end of it. They were wrong. In the weeks that followed, the young species began to experience small disruptions. Their newest trade station failed to meet deadlines. A mining operation reported strange data errors. Navigation systems required more frequent recalibration. Nothing serious. At first, their engineers worked harder. Their leaders blamed growth stress. After all, rapid expansion always came with problems. But the problems did not stop. Human trade partners quietly reduced contracts. Insurance groups increased rates. Independent merchants rerouted through longer paths to avoid the young species space. The young leaders noticed. They accused humans publicly again. "Your influence is poisoning the market," they claimed. "You manipulate trust." Humans requested a private discussion. The request was denied. That was the second mistake. Humans stopped requesting anything. Instead, they adapted. Human specialists withdrew from shared projects. They completed all contracts properly, then declined renewal. Human-built systems were handed over with full documentation, but no future support. Everything was legal. Everything was polite. Young species did not panic. Yet then their allies began to leave. Not dramatically, quietly. One by one, each gave a reasonable excuse. Budget limits, internal reforms, new priorities. Supply delays became shortages. Shortages became unrest. The young species citizens began asking questions their leaders could not answer. Why were costs rising? Why were ships delayed? Why were old systems failing at the same time? The leaders called an emergency council. Humans attended. They listened. The young leader demanded answers again. The human representative stood. "We did not attack you," he said. "We did not restrict you. We did not interfere." "Then why is this happening?" the leader demanded. The human paused. "Because systems depend on trust," he replied. "And trust is fragile." The room was silent. "You chose to remove us from your systems," the human continued. "So we left." The rest followed on their own. That was when understanding finally reached the smaller species watching from the edges. Humans were not destroying empires. They were letting them face reality without help. The young species economy collapsed within one cycle. Their fleets remained intact. Their cities still stood. But their influence vanished. No one followed them anymore. No one trusted them. They became irrelevant. The galaxy remembered. New records were written. New warnings were shared quietly between mentors and students. Humans were added to every strategic model under one label: unavoidable variable. The smallest species updated the survival guide. Rule 1 remained unchanged: never anger humans. Still no Rule 2, because the mistake was always the same: thinking humans needed to fight to win. As the council session ended, the human representative exited without celebration, without pride. Outside, stars moved slowly past the windows. Humans continued their trade, their research, their quiet expansion. They did not punish the young species further. They did not need to. The damage was complete. And somewhere deep in the archives, a final note was added beneath the guide's title. Humans do not conquer worlds. They outlast mistakes. The galaxy had learned, but not everyone. Because even now, there were whispers of another species. Older, stronger, more arrogant. One that believed it could not fall. And soon, it would test the rule in a way the galaxy had never seen before. After the fall of the young species, the galaxy grew careful, not brave, not united, careful. Older civilizations stopped arguing about humans and started studying them. Quiet teams were formed. Observers were placed in trade hubs, research stations, and neutral ports. They did not watch human weapons. They watched human behavior. What they found was unsettling. Humans did not move like conquerors. They did not claim territory quickly. They did not rush to dominate councils or demand authority. Instead, they built routines. They woke early. They worked long. They documented everything. Human crews repaired stations that were not theirs, improved systems without rewriting ownership. They trained others, then stepped back. Many species found this strange. Why help without control? Analysts asked. The answer never came directly. Humans invested in connections, not flags. They knew who depended on whom. They understood how failure spread. They studied not strength, but pressure points. Observers noticed another pattern. Humans forgave small mistakes. A delayed payment. A rude comment. A failed contract. Humans corrected, adapted, and moved on. But betrayal was different. When trust was broken publicly or deliberately, humans did not react emotionally. They reacted structurally. They changed their behavior in ways that seemed harmless, yet reshaped entire systems. That frightened the smaller species more than any fleet ever could. In hidden academies, children of minor species were taught human history. They learned about old human wars, how humans once fought each other endlessly, how those conflicts forced humans to master logistics, strategy, and patience. They learned the cost of anger early, one teacher explained, and now they avoid it. The survival guide grew thicker, not longer in rules but deeper in explanation. Rule 1 remained bold: never anger humans. A question appeared beneath it. Why? The answer was simple: because humans remember. Observers noted that humans kept detailed records of every interaction. It's not grudges, patterns. Humans did not seek revenge. They prepared for repetition. One observer wrote, "Humans assume mistakes will happen again. They plan accordingly." That meant once you showed humans who you were, they believed you. Forever, a test came soon after. A border dispute broke out between two non-human species. Humans were asked to mediate. They agreed. They offered fair terms. Balanced solutions. One side accepted. The other mocked human neutrality. They accused humans of hidden control. They leaked edited conversations. They tried to shame humans publicly. Older species felt dread. Humans responded with a single statement: "We will no longer participate." That was it. No warnings, no explanations. Human mediators left. Human logistics teams withdrew. Human communication nodes were reassigned. The conflict escalated quickly without them. Trade routes collapsed. Supplies failed to reach frontline worlds. Refugees overwhelmed systems. Within months, both sides begged for human assistance. Humans declined politely. "We respect your independence," they said. The message was clear: humans would not stop you from falling. They just would not catch you again. The galaxy understood something new that day. Humans were not a weapon. They were stability. And stability, once removed, revealed weakness. The smallest species updated their guide again. They added examples, stories, warnings, but still no Rule 2. Because Rule 1 covered everything. Observers also noticed something else. Humans protected those who respected them. Small species that treated humans fairly thrived. Their systems improved. Their influence grew. Human traders preferred them. Human advisors stayed longer. It was not favoritism. was consistency. Humans rewarded predictability, so one observer wrote. Humans build with those who keep their word. The council halls changed. When humans spoke, others listened. Not because humans demanded attention, but because ignoring them felt dangerous. Silence followed human statements. Not fear-filled silence, respectful silence. Yet beyond the core worlds and darker regions of the galaxy, something stirred. An ancient power watched from afar. Older than human space travel, stronger than the fallen empires. Proud of its history, they had seen many species rise and fall. They believed humans were just another phase. They laughed at survival guides written by weak species. Fear makes myths, their leaders said. They prepared to test the rule in a way no one had before. The galaxy held its breath, because this time the mistake would not be quiet. It would be public, and humans would be watching. The ancient species called themselves the Karun. They had existed before many current stars were charted. Their history was written in layers of stone and memory. They ruled systems not through trade or trust, but through presence. When the Karun arrived somewhere, others stepped aside. They had watched humans from a distance, quiet creatures, soft bodies, no natural weapons. The survival guides written by smaller species amused them. Fear creates legends, the Karun elders said. Legends replace truth. When humans expanded into nearby trade corridors, the Karun did not speak to them. They did not warn them. They did not request negotiation. They blocked human routes. Openly, publicly, a message was broadcast across the sector. This space is not yours. Every species watching felt a wave of dread. Humans responded within a standard day, not with fleets, not with threats. A single message. We request dialogue. Karun refused. They expected anger. They expected fear. They expected resistance. They received silence. Human ships altered their paths. Human traders withdrew from Karun-controlled markets. Human advisors ended contracts respectfully. Every step followed galactic law. The Karun laughed. See? They told their allies. They'd bend. At first nothing changed. Karun stations remained full. Their fleets remained powerful. Their influence remained vast. Then subtle shifts appeared. Neutral traders began avoiding Karun space. Not because of danger, but inconvenience. Human-managed logistics networks no longer optimized routes through Karun systems. Travel times increased. Costs rose. The Karun did not worry. They had reserves. But reserves are meant to delay problems, not erase them. Over time, small inefficiencies stacked. Maintenance schedules slipped. Supply rotations became uneven. Allied systems felt pressure. The Karun demanded compliance. Some allies left quietly. Others hesitated. Then something unexpected happened. Human-created standards became universal. Trade guilds required compatibility with human systems. Insurance collectives trusted human risk models. Communication networks synced to human protocols. The Karun refused to adopt them. We do not follow outsiders, their elders declared. That choice isolated them. Slowly, completely. Their fleets were strong, but strength did not repair stations. It did not balance markets. It did not calm unrest. Karun citizens began to question leadership. Why were supplies delayed? Why were prices rising? Why were once loyal systems drifting away? The elders blamed human manipulation. They called an emergency summit. They invited humans. Humans attended. The Karun leader spoke with pride. You weaken the galaxy, he said. Your systems replace tradition. Your silence hides control. The human representative listened carefully. Then he spoke. We did not enter your space, he said. You blocked ours. He adapted. You isolate us, the Karun accused. The human shook his head. We did not ask others to leave, he replied. They chose what works. The truth landed heavily. The Karun had not been attacked. They had been outpaced. Their strength meant nothing in a galaxy that now moved by connection and trust. Within 2 cycles, their outer systems declared independence. Trade partners vanished. Influence collapsed inward. The Karun remained powerful, but alone. For the first time in their history, power did not equal survival. The smallest species updated their survival guide one final time, added a single note beneath Rule 1. Even the ancient fall when they forget. Humans did not celebrate. They did not take Karun's space. They did not claim victory. They reopened trade routes elsewhere. They built partnerships with willing species. They moved forward. The Karun sent one final message. "We wish to negotiate." Humans replied, "We respect your independence." Negotiation never came. Because humans had learned something long ago. You do not rebuild trust where it was publicly broken. The galaxy changed after that. The rule was no longer whispered. It was accepted. Never anger humans. Some still asked about Rule 2. The answer was always the same. There is no Rule 2, because once Rule 1 is broken, the story is already over. And far across the stars, human ships continued their quiet journeys, not feared as monsters, not praised as saviors, but understood at last. The Galactic Council Hall filled again many cycles after the fall of the Karun. This time the mood was different. There was no panic, no anger, no loud debate. Delegates sat calmly, but with care. Every species understood why they were there. A small record-keeping species stood once more at the center. He looked older now. "We did not call this gathering to warn you," he said. "The warning is already known." The hall remained quiet. "We called this gathering to explain why there is no second rule." The central display activated, showing no fleets, no battles, no destruction. Only timelines, lines connecting systems, dots fading away. "Humans," the speaker said, "do not rule by fear. Fear fades." He pointed to a fading cluster. "They rule by memory." The delegates leaned forward. "When humans enter a system, they learn everything. Who keeps promises, who breaks them, who uses power to protect, and who uses it to control." The display shifted to human trade hubs, schools, repair stations. "They give trust easily," the speaker continued. "But once you show them who you are, they believe you. Forever." A murmur spread through the hall. "Humans do not seek revenge," he said. "They seek stability. If you threaten stability, they remove themselves from you." He paused. "When humans leave, they take the future with them." The youngest species finally spoke. "Why don't they warn us?" a delegate asked. "Why not explain the cost?" The small speaker looked at them gently. "Because humans already warned the galaxy," he replied. With their behavior. The display showed old messages. "We request peaceful passage. We request dialogue. We respect your independence." "They always speak first," the speaker said. "They speak calmly. They speak clearly." He let the silence grow. "If you ignore that," he continued, "you have already chosen your path." The delegates understood now. Rule 2 did not exist because it was never needed. Humans gave one chance. Only one. Another image appeared. A small species thriving. Human traders nearby. Shared projects. Growing influence. "This is what happens when you respect humans," the speaker said. "They stay. They build. They share." The image changed. A powerful species isolated. Strong fleets. Empty roots. And this, he said softly, is what happens when you anger them. No explosions. No ruins. Just absence. The council doors opened quietly. A human representative entered. He did not stand at the center. He took a seat among others. That alone said everything. The speaker turned to him. "Do humans wish to add anything?" he asked. The human stood slowly. "We do not want to be feared," he said. "We want systems to work." He looked around the hall. "When we help, it is because trust exists," he continued. "When we leave, it is because trust was broken." He paused. "We do not punish," he said. "We move on." Then he sat down. The council ended shortly after. Outside, ships departed peacefully. No alerts, no tension. Across the galaxy, teachers told the same story to children, not as a threat, as a lesson. They taught them that strength was loud, but stability was quiet. That anger felt powerful, but patience shaped outcomes. And they taught them the only rule that mattered. Never anger humans. Some children asked about Rule 2. Their teachers always smiled sadly. "There is no Rule 2, they said, because Rule 1 decides everything." Far away, on a small human ship moving between stars, a crew checked schedules, shared meals, and planned repairs. They did not think about legends. They did not think about fear. They simply kept things working. And that was why the galaxy survived.